I know the type of person you are, which is, very much instead of the command and control, you're an inspire and trust type leader. I also can tell you that you're very caring and empathetic towards other people as well. And what sometimes happens in the leaders that I've worked with, so for example, I work with the CIO of Dell, and he's like us, very, very caring. And one thing that I see often is caring people sometimes get embedded in the energy of somebody else that they care about. And what that means is they can see that they're going through something, or they're upset about something, or they're throwing the toys out of the pram about something. And because the other person like us cares, sometimes we get embedded in their energies, try and help them. And this is why it's so important as a leader, or even in a partnership in terms of love partnership, it's very important to keep that separateness to create togetherness, to keep that separateness in terms of the energy to bring back togetherness, in terms of holding space for the other person, so that when they go through that emotion and commotion, you can stand there as that leader. And when they come back into that balance of emotions, then you can work together towards what you need to do. But quite often in leadership and in business, there's so much commotion, emotion, and competition that people get wrapped up in this. And it ends up wasting so much time in organizations. Whereas if people can really, truly work together without getting embedded in other people's energies and other people's problems in a negative way rather than a positive way, and hold the space for them, I can tell you we'd save so much time, and we get more done in less time with less stress, because we've focused on what we want rather than the distractions of what we don't want.
There was one particular situation I loved, and I interviewed Gary Ridge, who's the ex-chief executive of WD-40, and he told me about a situation with conflicting conversations. Right, there's so many people will say, I avoid conflict because it's uncomfortable. Right, I don't know how to have that difficult conversation. And he gave an example that says, you're in a meeting. He gave an example that he had. And he said, I was in a meeting one day with one of my executives, and there's 8 or 9 people in it. And this person came into the meeting, and he was just drawing everybody's energy. He was not on form at all. And he said, I've got a couple of choices here. I'm going to strip him down. And if I did that, then everyone else in the room is going to say, I wonder when it's my time to be stripped down. So he said, so you don't do that. And you don't go into any form of silence and make you can cut the atmosphere of a knife. He said, so you go through the process. What you can't do is nothing, because then what you accept, what you ignore, you accept. So therefore that sends a wrong message. He said, so I took him on a walk. So let's go for a walk. And as I'm walking along, I'm lifting up trash can lids, and I'm looking inside these trash cans and doing all sorts of stuff. He said, and this guy said to me, Gary, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking for you, because the person in that room wasn't you. And I'm just seeing if you're in here, or if you're in there, or if you're over there. Where have you gone? And it was a different way of managing the situation, where he then said, well, what do you mean? He said, this is about positivity, right? This is not about, marshmallows and rainbows, because we've got some challenging things to deal with. But we have to energize each other. And I need to find the person that I know you to be, because that wasn't who was in that room. And that was a much cleaner and empathetic way of giving somebody a rollicking without making them feel the need to be defensive or feeling down. And I thought it was a great example of how to manage a difficult conversation.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I think in these circumstances, I quite often say to the people that I've worked with, as a C-level executive, formerly working in big organizations, I always said to them, like in sales, because I was their head of sales, head of marketing, all that kind of stuff, is to remember you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. And sometimes the most intelligent person in the room is the one that listens the most. And I think as the leader in the room, speak last and let every single person in that room speak at some point in time. Because quite often the people who are slightly shy might have a genius idea that could be hiding behind the fact that they don't have the confidence to stand up in terms of public speaking in front of people. One thing I always try and get leaders to do now is, for fun, is to get everybody to put their hand on their heart. And I would say, I am Doug Gordon, I am my heart. Please let me connect with the hearts of the people in the room in order to bless rather than press and add as much value. Because that way you're getting yourself out of your ego self into your higher self, your kind of place of love. You don't mind if you sound stupid, because you're just trying to add value to people. And what happens is that sometimes the most clever people in the room don't speak because they're afraid of standing up and speaking and someone kind of criticize them. So if you can get everybody in the room to speak first, and then as the leader act in terms of summation everything that's just been said, and ask for viewpoints on different people, that I really like what Jeff said, I really like what Doug said, I really like what Bob said, and what do we think about those, and get a collective viewpoint on all those different viewpoints, and also limit people to a certain amount of time so they don't hog the room as such, then it can really help in terms of keeping a good democracy within the organization, within the team, and that meeting.
I guess that comes down to one of the golden rules of leadership is a leader has none of the answers, The leader just asks incredibly good questions, and it takes people on the journey to find their own answers.
I have to say, I was privileged to work with some amazing people during my time in the investment management world in particular. And when I was just a sales guy, I had some great bosses. And they would set the target for the year. They set the target for the individuals. And they would basically say to us, you go out and do that however you need to do. And we knew if we didn't achieve the target, we could potentially get fired. But if we did achieve the target and go over target, we could make a lot of money as well. So I think that's why it's so important just to know exactly what your mission is as an overall company. Remind everybody and make sure that mission is about adding value to people. Something actually we didn't mention about purpose earlier on. When I was in the investment world, I remember that I was just thinking it was transactional, bringing money from one bank to another bank, one asset manager to another asset manager. And I just thought that was it. And then I suddenly realized actually when I left and got into what I'm doing now, that actually what I was doing was helping that granny or grandpa retire younger, give more to their children, their grandchildren, or buy a better retirement home or have a better life. So if you can look at the energy of what you do and how it interlinks to the end customer and betters somebody's life, it'll give you more of a spring in terms of that kind of stuff as well. So if you can look, so if you can look at, what have I got to do? What have I got to achieve? And try and make sure that everybody has some kind of goal, some kind of target that they know they've got to do by the end of the year. And you work together collectively towards that. You don't need to manage people as long as they know they've got to achieve that goal by the end of the year and they've got a set period of doing that as well.